One courtyard is good. Two courtyards is where this gets really interesting. The Romans didn't stop at a single atrium. The nicer houses had a second one further back, called a peristyle, and each one had its own job to do. One was public, one was private, and splitting the house that way solved a problem that still trips people up in barndo floor plans today. Let's get into it. Quick thing before we go further. If you're into real floor plan breakdowns like this one, go subscribe to Barndominium Haven right now. It costs nothing, takes 2 seconds, and it means you won't miss the next one. Okay, let's build this thing. So here's how the classic Roman domus was actually organized. You walk in the front door and you land in the atrium. That's the public courtyard. It's where guests were received, where business got done, where the household kind of put on its face for the outside world. Rooms around it were more formal, reception rooms, maybe a home office equivalent. Then, further back in the house, past that public zone, there was a second courtyard called the peristyle. This one was private, family space, bedrooms opened onto it. It was quieter, more personal, and guests generally didn't get past the atrium into this zone unless they were close family or close friends. Two courtyards, two totally different jobs. Public up front, private in the back. And I think that split solves one of the most common complaints I hear about modern open floor plans. There's actually a social layer to this that I find really interesting. Roman houses were built by people who genuinely entertained a lot, and business and home life were way more intertwined than they are now. So they needed a house that could host a room full of people they barely knew, and also just be a home for their actual family, sometimes on the same day. That's not so different from a lot of us now, honestly. We host, we work from home, and we also just want to live in peace. One house, two very different jobs. The Romans just solved it a lot more elegantly than most modern floor plans do. Here's the problem. Most open-concept barndos treat the whole house as one uniform zone. Public and private space, just kind of mashed together. You've got guests over, and the second they walk past your front door, they can see straight into your bedroom hallway. Or your home office is sitting right off the living room, so every work call happens with the TV audible in the background. Or your kid's playroom is wedged right between the entry and the kitchen, so every time someone rings the doorbell, there's toys and chaos in full view. This happens because people design barndos as one big continuous zone, instead of thinking about who's actually supposed to be in each part of the house at any given time. Family alone on a Tuesday night needs different things from the house than family hosting 15 people on a Saturday. Let's actually walk through a bad example, because I think it makes this click. Say you've got a rectangular open-concept barndo. Front door dumps you into the kitchen. Kitchen flows into the living room. Living room has a hallway right off it, leading straight to the bedrooms. Now picture hosting a party in that house. Every guest who wants to use the bathroom has to walk straight past your bedroom door. Every bit of noise from the party carries straight down that hallway into wherever your kids are trying to sleep. There's no buffer anywhere. That's the exact failure mode the two-courtyard idea is built to prevent. The two-courtyard idea fixes this by literally building two different modes into the floor plan itself. Let's design the front one first. This is your atrium equivalent, and it's doing the job of a public gathering space. Front door opens straight into this courtyard, or into a great room that faces onto it. Around this zone, you put your kitchen, your main living room, your dining space, maybe a home office if it's the kind of office where clients or coworkers might actually visit. This is the part of the house that's built for company. It's meant to be seen. It's meant to be shown off a little, honestly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you're doing an actual open-air courtyard here, even a small one, it makes a phenomenal entry experience. Guests walk in. And instead of dumping straight into your living room like 90% of barndo plans do, they land in this open, light-filled space first. It's a beat, a pause. It makes the whole entry sequence feel intentional, instead of just, here's a door, here's a house. If open air isn't practical for your climate or budget, a covered atrium with a big skylight does almost the same emotional job. You don't need actual open sky. You need the feeling of arriving somewhere before you arrive everywhere. I want to add one more thing here that I think gets overlooked. This front courtyard is a fantastic spot for your powder room to open off of, instead of tucking it deep into the private wing. Think about it. Guests need a bathroom. You don't want them wandering back toward your bedrooms looking for one. Put a nicely finished powder room right off this public zone, and you've just solved one of the most awkward moments of hosting anyone. Now the second courtyard, further back in the plan. This is your peristyle. This is family space. Bedrooms open onto this one. If you've got a primary suite, this is where it lives, probably with a private slider, straight out to this courtyard, so it basically gets its own little outdoor retreat that guests never see. Kids' rooms can open here too. A more casual family room or a media room fits well in this zone as well, somewhere you'd actually watch a movie in sweatpants versus somewhere you'd host people. Here's my favorite detail about doing it this way. That back courtyard doesn't need to be showy at all. It can be way more casual than the front one. Simple grass, a hammock, maybe a small garden bed. It's not performing for anyone. It's just for you. I think that distinction is honestly kind of freeing from a design standpoint, because you stop trying to make every square foot of your outdoor space Instagram ready, and you let part of it just be comfortable. I'd also think hard about a small private patio directly off the primary suite within this courtyard, separate from the shared family portion. Even a modest little nook with a couple of chairs and some morning shade makes the primary suite feel like a genuine retreat, instead of just another bedroom that happens to be bigger than the others. This is the kind of detail that doesn't cost much extra during the build, but pays off every single morning you actually live there. This is the part people get wrong the most, so let's slow down here. You need a real transition between the public courtyard zone and the private courtyard zone. Not a wide-open sightline straight from your front door through to your bedroom hallway. A hallway, a pocket door, even just a change in flooring material, and a slight jog in the layout. Something that tells your brain and your guests' brains, this is where public ends and private begins. I've seen plans that nail the two-courtyard concept individually, but then connect them with one long straight hallway that basically undoes the whole point. Guests can see all the way down that hallway from the front door. So even though you've technically got two zones, visually and acoustically, they're still one zone. Don't let that happen. Put a jog in that connecting hallway, or a door, or both if you can. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to actually function as a break. Let's talk about what actually goes in that connector zone, because it doesn't have to be wasted hallway space. This is a great spot for a mudroom if you've got a side or rear entry there too, a laundry room, or even a small drop zone for shoes and bags. Functional utility space fits naturally into a transitional zone, because it's not really public, and it's not really private either. It's the in-between, and it can do in-between jobs. One more thing on this. If budget allows, put an actual door at this connector point, not just an open jog in the hallway. I know I keep coming back to this, but it's genuinely the single detail that determines whether this whole concept works acoustically or just works visually. A jog in the hallway breaks the sightline. A door breaks the sound. You kind of want both if you can swing it. Let's talk numbers, because two courtyards can sound like a lot of square footage if you're not careful about proportions. Your front, public courtyard should generally be the bigger, more architecturally significant one. This is the space that's setting the tone for the whole house, and hosting the most people at once, so give it room to breathe. If you're doing an actual open-air version, something in the range of 200 to 300 square feet reads as generous without being excessive. If it's an enclosed atrium instead, similar footprint, just under roof. Your back, private courtyard can be smaller. It's usually serving fewer people at a time. You, your partner, your kids, maybe one or two close friends. 100 to 150 square feet is plenty for a private retreat feel. Don't feel like you need to match the size of the front one. Smaller and cozier is actually the right call back there. If your lot or your budget only allows for one real courtyard, my honest opinion, go with the front, public one. It does more work for the overall feel of the house, and it's the one that shapes that all-important entry experience. You can always create a more private feeling in the back wing later, just through smart window placement and orientation, even without a dedicated courtyard there. Let's also talk about total lot footprint, because I get asked this a lot. For a genuinely comfortable two-courtyard barndo, with both spaces, sized the way I just described, you're generally looking at a build footprint somewhere around 3,000 to 3,600 square feet, including both courtyards, depending on how big you go on the wings themselves. That's not a small build. I'll be upfront about that. If you're working with a tighter footprint, scaling both courtyards down proportionally still works. You just lose a bit of that generous breathing room in the front zone. Better to shrink both a little than to cut one entirely, in my opinion. This two-courtyard idea isn't locked into one specific footprint. Let's talk through how it adapts. On a long rectangular barndo, the two courtyards basically become bookends. Front third of the house wraps around the public courtyard, back third wraps around the private one, and the middle third is your connector zone, kitchen, maybe a mudroom, that transitional hallway we talked about. On a U-shaped or C-shaped barndo, you can actually nest both courtyards into the same overall footprint pretty elegantly, with the public one closer to the opening of the U and the private one tucked deeper into the crook of it. On a true O-shaped barndo, the kind I talked about in another video, you'd typically only have room for one true central courtyard, given the footprint, but you can still get the public versus private split by zoning, which wings sit closer to the entry versus which wings sit on the far side. Same logic, different execution. There's one more shape worth mentioning here, and it's actually my personal favorite for this concept. A double bar, or H-shaped barndo, where you've basically got two parallel wings connected by a shorter cross wing in the middle. The front wing wraps around courtyard 1, the back wing wraps around courtyard 2, and that cross wing in the middle is naturally your connector zone, kitchen and utility space and all. It practically builds the two-courtyard logic into the shape itself without you having to force it. The point is, you don't need a mansion-sized lot to pull this off. You need intentional zoning. That's a design decision, not a square footage requirement. All right, mistake time. And this is a big one. People get excited about the two-courtyard idea, and then they build two courtyards that both try to be everything. Both fully landscaped, both with a fire pit, both with fancy pavers, both sized the same. And when both spaces are trying to do the same job, you haven't actually created two zones. You've just built one theme, twice. The whole magic of this concept is contrast. Public should feel different from private. More polished versus more relaxed. Bigger versus more intimate. If you flatten that contrast out, you lose the reason this layout works in the first place. Let one space be the showpiece, and let the other one just be comfortable. Don't make both of them try too hard. Second mistake I want to flag. Overglazing both courtyards equally. I see this a lot. Builders get excited about the idea and just wrap both courtyards in floor-to-ceiling glass because it looks amazing in renderings. But remember, your private courtyard is supposed to feel like a retreat. If it's got the exact same wall-to-wall glass treatment as your public one, you've accidentally made your bedroom wing feel just as exposed and on display as your entry. Pull back the glazing a bit in the private zone. Smaller, more deliberately placed windows there actually reinforce the privacy the whole concept is supposed to deliver. Let's talk about how to actually make this public versus private feeling show up in your material choices. Because the layout alone isn't quite enough. The finishes need to back it up. In that front public courtyard and the rooms around it, I'd lean into more refined materials. Polished concrete, or a nicer tile, cleaner lines, maybe a statement light fixture. This is the zone that's making a first impression, so let it look a little more considered. In the back private zone, warm this up. Wood tones, softer lighting, more texture. It should feel like exhaling. If your front zone is the handshake, your back zone is the version of your house that only your closest people ever see. And honestly, I think that's the version that should feel the coziest. That's where you're actually going to spend your quiet evenings. Even something as simple as switching from a cooler-toned exterior siding around the front courtyard to a warmer wood accent around the back one does a lot of the storytelling for you before anyone even reads the floor plan. Lighting temperature is another cue I'd play with. Cooler, brighter lighting in the public zone. Warmer and dimmer in the private zone. Ideally on separate dimming circuits, so you can actually control that mood shift room by room. It sounds like a small thing, but walking from a crisp, bright public zone into a warmly lit private zone does a lot of psychological work. Your body actually registers that shift, even if you couldn't explain why. Let's spend a minute on planting, because this is where a lot of the public versus private feeling actually gets sealed in. For the front courtyard, I like structured, intentional landscaping. Clean hedge lines, maybe some ornamental grasses, ideally something that looks good in every season, without a ton of maintenance, because this is the space guests see first, and you don't want it looking rough in February. A couple of well-placed specimen trees can do a lot of heavy lifting here too. For the back courtyard, let it get a little wilder. Looser plantings, maybe some edible landscaping if that's your thing. Herbs right outside the kitchen-adjacent door, if your layout allows it. This is where I'd actually let personality show through more than in the front. Nobody's grading this space on curb appeal. It just needs to feel good to you. One practical note: whatever you plant in the private courtyard, think about maintenance access. Since it's more enclosed by the house itself, you want to make sure a landscaper, or you yourself, can actually get equipment in and out without hauling everything through your living room. A side gate or a wide enough connector hallway solves this, but it's worth thinking about at the design stage, not discovering it the first time you need to get a mower back there. Okay, let's bring it home. 2 courtyards, 2 jobs. Public one up front, sized generously, more polished materials, built for hosting and for that first impression when someone walks in. Private one further back, smaller, cozier, warmer materials, built for actual daily family life. Real transition zone between the two. With both a visual jog and ideally an actual door, not a straight sightline that undoes the whole split. Contrast is the whole point, so don't make both spaces try to be the showpiece. And don't overglaze the private zone just because the public one looks good in glass. This is such an old idea, and I think that's exactly why it still works so well. The Romans figured out that a house needs a face. It shows the world, and a heart it keeps for itself. Barndominiums are finally catching up to that idea, and honestly, I love watching it happen. See you in the next one.